12th of March here with Jack Hurst, just talking about working with others and supporting those in a business environment. So Jack, talk me through the purpose of supporting other people at work.
I'd say the main sort of purpose of supporting each other is to build sort of a friendly working atmosphere between your colleagues. Obviously it builds your working relationships as well, and I suppose it will then become sort of a more efficient workforce, dealing with sort of customers or clients that might come to you.
Yeah, okay. So by helping those being more effective and efficient, that's for the organisation. What about for individuals? How does it benefit them, do you think, the purpose of it?
I think, again, to create a good working environment so they want to sort of come to work and people are willing to help people out and obviously offer their support to colleagues. And I suppose, again, all to do with sort of building a friendly atmosphere in the working environment, which just sort of boosts morale in the office as well, just sort of boosts spirits as well.
Yeah, and talk to me a little bit about diversity. What is it and why should it be valued, and what are the benefits to you here at the council of having a diverse workforce?
Yeah, so my understanding of diversity is obviously to sort of being able to cater for everyone's needs. As an example, maybe a member of staff might require a wheelchair or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's all about providing the facilities for the person's needs, essentially. So obviously at the council here we've got disabled doors and the entrances, disabled entrances to the lift lobby, and then the lift as well, which they can use, which is obviously a benefit to the council. Means we can get a greater scope of employees in, so we can cater to their needs.
What about people from different backgrounds and different beliefs? Do you think that creates benefits for the council?
I think obviously everything should sort of be valued, and everyone should have the sort of right to be treated fairly within the workplace.
Yeah. How would you sort of respect their ability or background and values and beliefs? Have you got an example of how you've had to respect anyone's different beliefs or background or abilities? You talked a little bit about someone that's disabled, obviously, which is... I
think it's just a case of treating everyone fairly and with respect, so obviously being kind and being aware of what sort of background they might face. Yeah. And obviously being aware of it and putting yourself in a position where you're willing to sort of help them and support them in any ways they might need to.
Okay, all right. So talking about ways in which it's possible to learn from others at work.
Yeah, so I think different people have different skill sets and different abilities and traits also. So I think some people might be stronger in other areas where some people might be weak in other areas. So I think it's all about sort of supporting the workforce, so you get a good range of skills and a good range of qualities, so that everyone can learn and sort of improve to develop their skills, so they might become stronger in areas which they're not so sort of sufficient at.
Yeah, okay. And talk to me a little bit about security and confidentiality at work and the concerns of that. What do you think are the purpose and benefits of maintaining security and confidentiality at work? Obviously, being on reception and customer service, it's something you deal with all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think the purpose of maintaining sort of security is to protect any sensitive information we might get, whether it be about clients or customers. And I suppose also internal staff members as well. So obviously there's the Data Protection Act as well, which we must comply with, so it's also a legal obligation as well. But yeah, just basically to comply with the acts also, and obviously to maintain any information from getting leaked out, which shouldn't be.
And is there certain processes and policies you have to follow here? I know you've got the Data Protection Act. Is there anything else you have to do about badges, names?
Yes.
Some of the couple of tasks.
I think we've mentioned it briefly before, on reception, when sort of allowing someone in the building, we give them sort of visitor badge and we'd log their name and company also. Or if not, if they're a resident or something, just take their address as well, which is obviously for sort of fire reasons, security reasons, but it's vital that that information doesn't go anywhere else apart from on our sort of systems.
Okay, yeah. And have you ever had anyone mention it to you on the phone or ask about data protection?
A little bit. Often people ring up, they might want to know. I've got an example actually I could use. Someone phoned up recently basically to ask if anyone's made any complaints in relation to noise on their property, which, if you can see it from the customer's point of view, they're phoning up to see whether anything's sort of gone on.
Yeah.
But because of data protection, we can't actually give that information out.
Okay.
For all we know, he may not be the resident there. For all we know. So basically, we've got the Freedom of Information Act as well here. So the gentleman would have had to put a request in for that, and then we could let him know that. It's not something we could give him straight away because of the Data Protection Act. We couldn't just give him that information over the phone.
Okay, no problem. And talking a little bit about risk, managing that and monitoring it, and health and safety. Talk me through some of the things that you have to do here. I know you have talked about it before as well, on your reception duties.
Yeah, with relation to health and safety, we obviously have to report any incidents or near misses within the workplace, to basically minimise risks in the workplace here.
Yeah.
And obviously I've mentioned before, we've got sort of first aiders throughout the building, who can help with any issues.
Yeah.
As well.
And what about keeping waste to a minimum? What's the main causes of waste? And I know you've identified one before about on your customer service duties that you talked about, one of your personal statements about writing things on paper.
Yeah.
What's the kind of main causes of waste? Is it paper here?
I think mainly in offices you would find that the main cause of waste is paper. So we've got obviously recycling bins for any paper which doesn't have confidential information on to dispose of.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned in my personal statement, when I sort of come to the council, I realised everyone was sort of writing things down. Bits of scrap paper everywhere with details on. So one way I've sort of come across is to just use a notepad system on the PC, which minimises paper.
Using technology,
and obviously it's good for me as well because it keeps all the information secure and in one place rather than on bits of paper lying around everywhere.
And what's the procedure here for recycling materials? What happens with those? And
so we've obviously got our normal recycling bin for any recycling items, paper which doesn't have any customer info on. We've also got a confidential waste bin, which is for basically any information which does have information which we wouldn't want to be seen elsewhere. So we have a collection for that each week from a different organisation which come in, and I think it's all basically banned, so that there's no way of sort of tracing it back from there.
Right, okay. And is that the same for your hazardous materials? I know that you've worked in the post room and there's the printers in there, and also hazardous materials, others that might be here. What's the procedure for that? What's the purpose of having a procedure in place, do you think, for those?
Yeah, so again, I think that's something which we have a different company come in to dispose of hazardous materials. So I believe there's a storage area where they're taken, and then I think we've got a contract with them, so we can give them a call and they'll come and collect it whenever we may have hazardous waste from, maybe printers and that kind of thing.
And what are the benefits, if you're thinking outside really now, as well as the council here, but what really are the benefits of an organisation of improving their efficiency for minimising waste, and how do you think that can be continuously improved using other sources? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think obviously a way of improving that, as I mentioned there before, technology is one way which waste can be sort of cut down to a minimum. I know some companies now are sort of paperless as such, so everything is on a PC, which I suppose is good, and also things in relation to sort of carbon footprint for the company.
So how do you think companies achieve that? Paper, if you were saying that's the biggest thing.
Using sort of systems, scanning machines, that kind of thing, to make sure everything is on a file rather than sort of in paper in trays, that kind of thing.
And what do you think in terms of materials and money, trying to help with best value for money? You're always having your budgets cut here at the council.
So again, I think obviously if we're paying people to come and remove any waste which we might have, if we did bring in technology to minimise paper. Obviously, we'd have to pay less for those services, so it is something which we could save money on.
Have you got an environmental policy here, a sustainable policy?
I think we have, yeah.
And where would that be found?
Online again, so on the intranet.
Okay.
Just obviously a staff page with all policies and procedures.
And do you also, where would you find that if you were a customer of Fareham Borough Council?
Just on our main website, which they can look at.
Okay, excellent. Okay, lovely. Thank you, Jack. That's brilliant.